What's something your employer did that instantly killed employee morale? Banned smartphones in the break room to force us to talk to one another and build camaraderie. Ends up we didn't like each other that much. No raises or bonuses this year due to company performance. But I will make it up to you by taking the whole company to the lake for a trip on my new 30-feet boat. In a very short span of time, they changed everyone's 401k plan, for worse, and then implemented an office-wide cleanliness policy. No eating at your desk. Only 3 personal items on your desk. Everything labeled. No items other than your keyboard, mouse, and monitors on your desk at the end of the day. Talk about pissed off. You could feel the gloom when you walked in. Everyone's give a shitter broke at once. Large factory, not unionized. Each department clocks in at a different place. Mainly that department's break room. My department clocked in across the facility from the main entrance, which meant it took about 15 minutes to walk from the front door to where you clocked in and out at. And another 5 to walk from that entrance to the parking lot. There was a side exit that we would use. However, that literally cut that walk down from 20 minutes to 3. Since our department was right next to the parking lot, management decided that all employees must enter and exit through the same door. Which meant we had to walk all the way down to the main entrance and then back around to our cars. There was so much rebellion from the employees in our department that they had to bar the door shut with 2x4s. Joke's on them. Even unionized employees can be a pain in the ass. We contacted the fire marshal, who upon seeing a fire exit barricaded, fined the company $8,000. We still were not allowed to enter through this door. But they stopped trying to stop us. To cut costs, they started a policy that only certain departments had internet access. It basically started a class system that bred resentment across departments and caused an exodus from the non-internet teams. My boss is looking to retire in the next 3 to 4 years. He told everyone that he wanted us to come up our visions for the company and its future over the next 5, 10, 20 years. We're a small office of about a half dozen people, but we've been growing, and so everyone brought up growth projections and succession planning once he retires, etc. His son is the heir apparent and has a precocious 8-year-old, so in my 20-year version I even included the grandson joining the business and grooming it to become a legacy company. My boss went last, and we were expecting something acknowledging some of our thoughts, or at least an expression of appreciation that the company he founded would live on well past his retirement. Be in good hands, etc. Instead it was brutal and short. It was something along the lines of, I do everything around here anyway, so I should just sell the company to fund my retirement, and you can all find other companies to work for in a few years. Mood killed. Meeting ended. In a company of 6 people. Owner said in a meeting with everyone that his 2 sales guys are irreplaceable and that the rest of us are just paper pushers. We were once in the middle of a very stressful period of work. And everyone was feeling it. However, one afternoon, an offhand comment turned into a conversation that we all got involved with and led to a few laughs. My manager, returning from a meeting, piped up, "Oh, we've finished tomorrow's work." "Have we? What's all this about?" Insert subject matter. Entire team instantly deflated. Unnecessary. Every employee needs time to blow off a little steam. Former teacher. The administrators at my school were usually pretty chill, but had a habit of randomly coming up with minor rules that they would enforce for us. Male teachers had to wear ties even on jeans day, etc. Closing parenthesis. Overall it wasn't bad. Except for the time an administrator made a crucial mistake. They banned staff from drinking coffee in front of students. Now if you've never worked in a school, you'd think this isn't a big deal. When you spend nearly 100% of your day in front of students, it definitely is a big deal. First we tried to find any loophole we could. Energy drinks? Banned the next week. Tea? Banned 2 days later. It was chaos. Eventually, we realized they couldn't fire an entire school's worth of teachers and aides. So we ended up doing the one thing that private schools fear most: we formed a union. Realistically, it was more of a weird pseudo-union focused specifically on civil disobedience regarding the coffee issue. But it ruffled feathers nonetheless. The administrators caved to our demands, allowed us to drink coffee again, and even bought each of us a reusable coffee mug as a gesture of goodwill. And that's the story of how a handful of school administrators almost accidentally created a teachers' union over a complete non-issue. Removed COLA raises each year for all employees and implemented a raise when promoted or take on more responsibility model. However, promotions are very rare and raises are never approved. So everyone is losing money to inflation each year, and they tried to sell it as a big win for the employees. We aren't stupid people. Casually said the best employee was X, and everyone, including X, knew that X was among those who did the least amount of work. Edit. X was the most friendly to the boss. Always coming in to say hi. Do you need anything? Fired the girl who was in her 3rd trimester of pregnancy 3 days before her maternity leave was to start. Held a super positive, pep rally-style company-wide meeting about how they were going to start combining our sick days with our vacation days and now just call them PTO. This was presented to us as a great thing, since we could all now use our PTO days fully as vacation days if we wanted to. Once the system was implemented, everyone realized that instead of getting 10 vacation days and 10 sick days per year, we now all had 15 PTO days. Everyone was pissed. Edit. I just want to say that anyone bragging in the replies about how this wouldn't affect them because they don't use their sick days has fucked up priorities. Head of department realized that we weren't about to meet our targets for the financial year. Completely banned annual leave for 3 months. Forced anyone who didn't fill in their timesheet on time to attend disciplinary meeting, despite problems with the system meaning that some didn't get filled in, and generally had lower management terrified. Causing a massive blame culture and several people to be signed off with mental health issues. In the end, the employee survey which went to his bosses was hilariously bad. And he's now somewhere else making some other people's lives a misery. The best part was when his replacement came in and fired his right-hand man who was also a dick. It was a 1-2 punch. The company-wide meeting announced the promotion of several high-level management and executives, mostly title and responsibility changes. Lots of smiles and handshakes. Not unlike a college graduation ceremony. After these promotion announcements, they declared that due to the stagnant economy and poor sales, the entire company would be experiencing a pay freeze as a result. So, no raises for anyone. They then concluded the meeting by discontinuing casual Fridays. So, no more jeans on Friday. It almost felt like it was designed to make people want to quit and leave. It worked though. I and many others moved on to greener pastures within the year. Edit. To answer some of the questions posed, but without sharing too much personal information. This was a mid-sized manufacturing firm in the US around 2010. I moved on to what was the most lucrative job I have ever had as a result of this. So I don't hold any resentment. I just remember it utterly destroyed employee morale that day. If it was the ownership management's plan to get people to quit, it was pretty stupid, as only the mobile and capable talent moved on, while those incapable of finding another job, or the lifers, who would probably stay on even if the company announced they planned to cut the oxygen supply to the building by 50% to save money, stayed on through it. I can understand the need for promotion to fill positions from vacancies, etc. I can understand the need to have a pay freeze, beats layoffs, right? But doing the prior two right after each other and then saying, yeah, and no more casual Fridays just seemed really vindictive and malicious. If anything, they should have softened the blow of the pay freeze by saying casual Friday is now every day. And people would have left the meeting at least neutral if not slightly hopeful. They banned phones, electronics, puzzles, books, etc. from being used at your desk. I work at a call center. We were expected to just sit and wait for the next call to come in, distraction-free. Even if it was a super slow day. Told a bunch of people they were going to be promoted to get us to do extra work. No one got promoted. I basically did her job for a month. Me and 3 of my coworkers quit and she got fired a few months later. Had a boss everyone loved. Then she got transferred to another store and the new guy that replaced her decided the schedule that we'd all gotten used to needed to be shaken up. He posted the next week's schedule that was completely different than it had been under the previous manager. Got a bunch of complaints from people saying they can't work X days or Y times, and it seemed he was receptive since he took that schedule down. Then suddenly bam. He just reposted the same exact schedule and said fuck everyone. Oh. We had some people calling in sick from time to time under the old manager. But this new manager has pretty much half his crew every single day calling out because of his shitty tactics. Here's the first thing to learn about being a good manager. You don't need to shake things up for people to be better workers. You don't need to put your mark on anything if it's working just fine the way it was. Changed up the metrics that determined people's bonuses. And included things that were important for the business to know. But completely beyond the control of the people whose bonuses were impacted. For example, we had a right party contact rate. How many times you actually got the person you were calling versus the number of calls you actually made. The problem was the phone number list came from elsewhere. And the people making the calls were just given a list of numbers. And you had to call them all. No leeway. So you're calling blind from a list you don't control. And get penalized if the list is shit. Oddly enough, the people in charge of making the phone number lists, their bonuses were not influenced by right party contact rate. Put up a poster that said complaining is like vomiting. You feel better but everyone around you feels sick. The morale was already bad but it was just a shitty way to take a hit at upset employees rather than do anything positive. Was working for EB Games when GameStop bought them. 20% of any warranty. And $1 for every subscription sold went into your paycheck as commission. And you'd never feel dirty selling the things. Because Edge Magazine, EB's answer to Game Informer, and their extended warranties were legit. And fairly priced. GameStop buys the company. First thing they do? Nix the commissions. You still have to sell the stuff. Of course. I'll never forget the first meeting I had with GameStop as a manager. They really drilled how profitable those things are to the company. Soon after came the threats of reduced hours if you didn't hit quotas. Mandated by corporate. Yeah. Fuck GameStop. Edit. On my top post of all time is me saying fuck GameStop. I am amused. I was one of a large number of programmers working on a project at CSC. We had a deadline coming up in a couple months and they overpromised to the client and then asked us all to work extra hard to meet the deadline. And asked us to work 50+ hour weeks. Which we did, and then some. Some of us put in 70 to 80-hour weeks to meet this deadline. But once that deadline was met, suddenly there was another deadline they needed to meet. And another. People got tired, had lives to lead, and scaled back on their hours. Most of us were still working 50 to 60 hours a week. But not a lot more than that. Once they realized we weren't killing ourselves on their project any longer. There was an all-hands meeting where the managers told us that they were incredibly disappointed in our lack of professionalism because so comparatively few employees were now working more than 50 hours a week. One of our harder workers stood up and said, "Look, I have 3 kids. I'm driving an hour into and out of work every day. I'm taking care of my family. I'm trying to get presents for Christmas. Write out Christmas cards. Decorate and clean the house for everyone we're having over for the holidays. I'm having a really hard time just getting to 50. And the manager looked at her and sneered. If it wasn't Christmas, it'd be because it's Easter. Or Memorial Day. Or because it's summer and it's nice out. You'd always have some excuse. There was dead silence in the room. When we left that meeting, we didn't talk to each other. But every single worker on that project put in exactly 50 hours a week after that. Then came Christmas, raise and bonus time. Every worker on the project got a 0.5% raise. The managers got a 5-figure bonus. We were pissed. For management, the pain came after Christmas. First week off the year. 4 programmers had better jobs lined up and quit. 3 more the following week. 5 the next. We hemorrhaged 3 to 5 programmers every single week for over 3 months. It got to the point where the managers had to schedule a meeting every Monday at 11 to discuss that week's resignations and rearrange the surviving staff. Fuck CSC. Started firing people by lining 2 up at a time and seeing which one they prefer to keep on. Didn't matter if you were there for 20 years or 2. Also hiring management from outside and not promoting within, which means the new managers have no knowledge of anything that company does in terms of ethics, procedures, or employee status. It has turned this clique-type environment into every person for themselves. Very toxic. They got rid of their night cleaning crew the week after I started and we had to learn how to clean the whole department on our own before close. I work in a meat department, so this meant taking apart and cleaning 2 meat grinders and a bandsaw that were covered with meat goop. Almost the whole department quit because of this. But I stuck around and got the hang of it. After about 3 months though, they hired the cleaning crew back. Now closing is a breeze. Edit. Yes, I'm aware most meat departments don't have a cleaning crew. Me personally. I'm a security guard at a library. My boss said she wanted me moving around a lot. Which is cool. I would get up every 15 minutes. Patrol the entire building. Then sit back down for another 15 minutes. It's not the busiest place, so it seems to work out fine. Especially since my coworkers always know how to get a hold of me. However, apparently a coworker told my supervisor I was slacking off. And this coworker's known for micromanaging people she has no control over, and wasn't doing my job properly. But instead of talking to me about it, my boss just says, "Oh, I meant constantly. Constantly walking. 4 to 8 hours straight. No sitting down at all. Also, we fired the only other security guard, so you gotta take his shifts too." So other than a legally obliged 15-minute break, I'm supposed to be hiking all day long and assert my presence to the dozen or so patrons we have. I'm turning in my 2-week notice on Wednesday. And in the meantime I just take very long bathroom breaks. Firing half the staff for no reason other than to clean house when new management caused the other half to leave as well. You wouldn't think it possible for a hotel to go out of business in less than 2 months, but lo and behold it did just that. Edit. Holy shit, my highest rated comment by far, and all in less than 4 hours? Damn, I wish karma was tangible, hahaha. Edit 2. People are asking for more details, so I'm pasting this comment to a user I replied to further down. New general manager came in. Fired all the best people. I was really good but had only been there for 3 years, so I wasn't making a lot, because they were making too much money, and replaced them with base pay workers who didn't give a shit. Then that increased the workload on everyone else that wasn't fired, so they all quit. Then the hotel was stuck with half a shitty staff. Funny thing is that we made in the ballpark of $20 million the year before my original GM left, and the year the new GM took over I heard from one of the few people that still worked there. There were 2 originals out of a 60-person staff, that they were projected to barely clear $2 million. We were in the top 5 Hiltons in the entire Midwest for years, and there were only a handful of nights like Christmas when we wouldn't sell all 140 rooms. Why that dumb shit tried to change everything when the place ran itself and was kicking serious ass I will never know. But he's out of a job now. My old GM would literally leave halfway through the day if he wanted, rarely, because our managers were so good and everyone actually cared about the place. I once had a retail manager who sent out a memo that we worked so hard and did such a great job this month that she gets a bonus. That went over like a lead balloon. At an airplane factory, managers started rationing gloves, hairnets, masks, and trash bags at the same time. We had to go on a 12-by-6 work week. Like that was gonna make up for the increase in labor. I worked at a club in Miami and the owner was out of his fucking mind, years of drug abuse. When the housing market crashed, obviously people were spending far less going out, but he insisted we were all stealing. We had meetings once a week with all kinds of threats. Finally he put in an automatic pouring system for $50K plus. It basically looks like you're pouring drinks from a soda gun. Super boring. The fun vibe and flair we had was totally gone, which made sales drop even more. He ripped the system out 2 weeks later. Boss pitched a sales incentive trip to Cancun if the team hit the goal. My team exceeded the goal. And then they canceled the trip. 2 people quit. I accepted a position with their main competitor. And less than a year later, they closed in bankruptcy. Karma's a beach. Old folks' home kitchen. Maybe 20 staff members. Boss declared we were too happy and made a new set of rules. Degree there was to be absolutely no talking, laughing or jokes. The kitchen was to be silent because we were distracting ourselves from work. Degree anyone working less than 9 or 10-hour shifts were forbidden bathroom breaks. Going to the bathroom on a shift with less than 9 or 10 hours was a fireable offense. Permitted bathroom breaks could not be on the clock. Your lunch must be used to use the bathroom. Lunch breaks were 15 minutes long. Degree any communication with management was seen as inappropriate. Staff and management were to be kept separate at all times. A manager fucked a staff member and it made a big deal. That's why this was made. Degree you will not be paid overtime but will be expected to work. If you are to clock out by 8 p.m. but are still needed, you must clock out then return to work. Complaints to HR or labor board are fireable offenses. Yes, people complained. Yes, the place was investigated. Ex-boss was sued. Lost. Morale dropped. They have a hard time keeping employees now, and from what I heard most of the new employees are high school students. Ex-boss announced a sudden retirement for the end of the year and the kitchen will be taken over by all new people. I jumped ship early on. Do not miss the place. Edit. Holy fuck nuggets, this got way bigger than I thought. Thank you to everyone who reached out. Offered advice for similar situations. General well wishes and many middle fingers to my ex-boss. You are all wonderful. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.